Welcome to Sheriff's Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV7. Join us every week as we talk various aspects of law enforcement and how important it is for the citizens and law enforcement to work together. Now join us for another edition of Sheriff Talk on KWN Live and Local TV Channel 7. Welcome into Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. Another week that we'll be talking law enforcement around the tri-state area. We welcome, of course, both of our sheriffs, Sheriff Bo Burnett from Marion County, Sheriff Ray Cross from Dade. And Sheriff, I'm going to let you introduce this young lady right here between you.
Yeah, this is Misty McCarthy. She's one of my new detectives. She's been on the road. You've been with us how many years now?
About 8 years now.
About 8 years, and
she's no stranger to Dade County. I've seen her for years now.
Sure. Yeah, she
new job.
Does a great job, and we finally got her promoted to detective, and she's already training in there now, and she'll have to go off to school and doing a good job though. We get a lot of good work out of Misty. Does a lot of good for the county.
Give us your background a little bit. Were you in law enforcement previously to the 8 years here?
Before I came here, I worked for Catoosa County at their dispatch center.
Oh, okay.
And then I started doing ride-alongs and getting involved with law enforcement, and then that progressed me to here.
Well, very good, very good. I knew you'd been here for a great number of years. 8 years is a
8 years.
long time. And is this something that you wanted to pursue to get into investigations, or is this something that they may have pursued you for?
No, investigations is something I've always wanted to be involved with.
Very good. So I guess you're going through some additional post-training for investigations and stuff?
I will be here soon.
Evan, her husband, is also in law enforcement. Misty, you want to tell what he does?
My husband is Gary McConaughey. He is the lieutenant with Georgia Northwestern Technical College.
And he teaches, doesn't he?
He does. He is a master instructor with law enforcement.
Very good. And back in the early days, you can tell I date myself when I say the post training and Georgia Northwestern and some of these off-campus or on-campus classes were not available to the public. You basically had to be a sworn person, and then you were sent to Forsyth.
Yes.
And that's what I remember. But now they've got a lot of training that goes on through the colleges, and from what I understand, anybody, if you have the money, you can go sign up, meet the requirements, and become certified officer. You're not necessarily sworn, unless you get hired by either a police department or a sheriff's department. So I guess that's how that works. You can actually become a peace officer, get your certification, but then you have to apply for a job. So anybody can go, right, and be able to.
Yeah, you can you call a pre-service candidate, and you put yourself through and pay in Georgia. And
that in itself saves you, Sheriff, a lot of money, and and yourself.
There's Cleveland State that does that, and at the Academy in Nashville, you actually got to be a full-time employee with a Sheriff Department, Police Department before they'll let you in. So they don't. The Academy in Nashville, they don't do that. They don't sponsor. You got to, like I said, the employees got to pay the fee for that. But Cleveland, you can go down there and, like I said, I think it's 12 weeks to be a certified state police officer, but that don't guarantee you a job.
Right.
A lot of them get jobs now, but it does save the employer money, because time I pay 12 weeks at the Academy, I have to pay their salary and everything. It cost me about $10,000, so it does save some money.
Now, Sheriff, I know at one time, and you may still require it, when you put somebody through a post-training academy, do they have to serve your department for a certain period of time? They can't just go and get hired and 3 months later take another job for more pay.
Right. We have them sign a contract for 2 years to stay on with us, and that stops a lot of the just getting training and going somewhere for more money. So it keeps them here for a little while anyway. Which now we have a low rate of turnover now as we're getting the pay up, benefits are better. A lot of people like the working environment over here in Dade County, and so we're doing pretty good on that, on the turnaround part. But,
At one time, it was not like that.
No,
I
it
know
used
that-
to be a training ground, and people would come, go to the academy, and then go somewhere else pretty quick, mostly because of the pay.
And a lot of county departments would lose them to city departments that were smaller and consequently paid a little bit more per year or had a better benefit package or whatever. But you are kind of seeing that kind of level out a little bit.
Yeah.
Last year in service, we had the Chattanooga officer that does the overtraining division, Chattanooga, and he said that's all Chattanooga Police Department was, just training for other agencies. They have their own academy, but they're still state certified. Even though you got your own academy, it's got to be accepted by the state, and they do their own academy. They run about 20 officers at a time through their academy, and then he said we put them out on the road. They stay 6-8 months, a year, then boom, they go to another city or somewhere else. So he said they're just basically a training ground for other departments.
Well, there's a number. You look at a city the size of Chattanooga, they have upwards to 500 officers. Where y'all's department would, and I would say around 50 probably, with the jail and the road department probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they're a big department.
Be able to do that. So, well, welcome aboard. I'm sure that you're already working in the investigative unit there. So, how you like it so far?
It's interesting so far. Got a lot to learn.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. And I think it's good that you've already got a great layout of the county. I mean, you've patrolled the county for 8 years. Where were you originally from?
I'm originally from Whitfield County.
Okay.
Yeah, and I sent myself through mandate. So I wasn't sponsored by any agency. And then I came to Dade County, and this is where I now call home.
So when you were working the sheriff over in Catoosa County through their 911 center, but is that just something that I want to be in law enforcement, and that was kind of like the first step to be able to get into it?
It was.
Able to do that. Well, so that is neat. Well, I'm sure you'll do extremely well.
Thank you.
And we'll still see you out from time to time and be able to do that. So that your investigative unit, Sheriff, has changed I guess quite a bit the last year.
Quite a bit, yes. Yep. We have a new lead detective, Tim McKeag, that was on the show here a while back.
Right.
Chad Payne is moved from SRO into detectives. He's homesick this week, but he should be back pretty soon. Cindy Thurman is going to be transferring to my office. Mary Ann is retiring in a couple of weeks, or I think next week, but Cindy's going to be moving over there and as my secretary. So, yeah, a lot of changes in the investigation division.
All right. Well, we just need to pray for Tommy, because she's going to be home with him all the time.
I think she's pursuing a career in teaching. I think she's going to be a teacher.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, she's going to be studying for that, and yeah, she'll keep Tommy straight, I'm sure.
Well, somebody needs to.
Somebody needs to.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, you're watching Sheriff Talk. We're going to take our first break of the morning. We'll come back with discussion about law enforcement around the Tri-State area and beyond. We'll have more coming up.
Many law firms will depend solely on medical records and telephone calls to learn about a client's injuries and how best to present those injuries to an insurer or a jury. A good lawyer, however, will always attempt to communicate and meet directly with your medical care providers. At the Bandy firm, Sean Richardson or Marshall Bandy will always personally reach out to every one of your medical care providers and work with them as closely as possible in developing your case for settlement or trial. With 65 years of combined trial experience, attorney Sean Richardson and Marshall Bandy will be with you every step of the way. If you've been injured due to the negligence of another, call the Bandy firm today. They will be with you every step of the way. The Bandy firm, 706-935-STEP, or on the web at bandylaw.com. The Bandy firm, every step of the way. 706-935-STEP. That's 706-935-7837.
The Moore family name has built a legacy of trust, compassion, and peace of mind by standing with families during time of loss. Now in our 70th year, the Moore family commitment grows even stronger, from affordable, traditional services to cremation. Our experienced staff stands ready to follow through on you and your family's wishes. Since 1945, the Moore family of funeral homes, North Sand Mountain and Trenton, always dedicated to those we serve. Come hungry and leave satisfied at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon. Cloud's Pizza uses only the freshest ingredients, and we hand toss our own pizza dough. Our pizzas are made from scratch when you order, so they're always fresh. And don't forget about our famous Sand Mountain cheese sticks. You can eat from the daily buffet or try a mouth-watering hamburger or cheeseburger. Come see your friends at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon, and never leave hungry. Call ahead at 597-3100 for Cloud's Pizza. Visit us on Facebook at Cloud's Pizza and more.
Come see us at Cloud's Pizza.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Call right now.
Back now to Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. Welcome back. Thank you for watching another show this week. A lot of things going on. We were just talking about during the break on the segment coming up. We've seen the things that are happening across the country with law enforcement and the peaceful and some that have not been peaceful, the rioting situations and things like that. And the things that continue to unfold. And I know today, if you're watching live, at noon today, the president is supposed to put in an executive order that will put his plans on some additional training or additional, I guess we'll just have to wait to see what he does as far as guidelines for the police.
I think probably some of the guidelines are going to be more training. I was talking off the air. You know, I know that's coming next year, which I'm not against that. Of course, again, it impacts the local people because, Sheriff, you know, when you send officers more training, I mean that's more money, and that's going to happen. But I know things are going to change, and I'm for it. You know, any change to make things better, I'm all for
Well,
it.
Sheriff, one thing I don't understand, they're wanting us to have more training, but on the other hand, they're wanting to defund the police department. So
Yeah.
how you going to do that out of a budget? You know, it's going to be hard to do.
I don't know.
Most of these instances that are happening are a couple of officers, very few.
Yeah.
The majority of officers are good.
Yeah.
Good people, and they make good choices.
You know,
we got a couple that's made these bad choices that's affecting every officer in the United States, and that's wrong.
Well, I don't think and we've talked about it on this program. The Mr. Floyd, the initial situation that has put us into this discussion. I mean, I haven't met anybody that doesn't feel like that was wrong. It should be tried. He should have a jury of his
Most
peers.
officers would like to get their hands on him.
Yeah.
You know,
Look what he's put us in. You know, I mean, just.
there was no excuse.
I've watched that over and over and over, and you know, and he's just looking at. I don't know what went through that man's mind, but you know, I ain't talked to an officer. I went to church meeting last Wednesday, you know, and last week, and talked to sheriffs all across the state, and everybody's in agreement. You know, that guy needs to be. He is charged. He needs to be in jail. Probably should have been out of police work before.
Well, I think there was a number of complaints, according to the
Right.
media, where had been filed against him throughout the years, and I know neither one of y'all have to worry about or have to deal with, but you know, when you get into the big cities, you have unions, you have police
Right.
unions, and you know they
all of mine belong to the PBA. I'm old school, and the first a couple years ago, some of my officers was involved in a shooting incident, and next day or two, they come in and I said, "What happened over there?" And they said, "Sheriff, I can't talk to you." My lawyer said, "Don't talk to you." And I said, I flew mad, and I said, "Well, your lawyer don't sign your check, I do, But it took me a while to get used to that. But they've got attorneys, and the attorney says, don't make any statement without me being there, and that's just the way things are now. It's just police work has changed in the last 30 years, and you got to change with it. So but it floored me the first time I asked my officer. I said, go over, tell me what happened. He said, my attorney said not to talk to you. And I said, okay.
Unless I know the departments that we have, the local departments and regional departments in these 4 or 5 counties that we're covering, if an incident happens with a discharge of a firearm, it doesn't necessarily have to be a fatal. Y'all both call in an outside agency.
Yeah.
TBI or GBI comes in and does a independent investigation.
And I like for the agent to be away from from Marion County. We have agents work Marion County, and over the years you get to be friends with them. I'd like for one to come from Memphis or Nashville, somewhere that don't know me, don't know you, don't know nobody, do a thorough investigation. And because it's hard for an agent that works, because there's only one agent that covers 3 counties, so he has to depend on local city and sheriff departments for help on stuff, and we work together. But if it's an incident involving one of the officers using deadly force, I'd like for our agent to come from as far away as they can bring him, so he doesn't
look at it from a clear,
right.
benign.
He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know
Unbiased.
this and that.
Yeah.
He just he's just going to do investigation. But
And that's probably for all the sides best way to do it, because whether you've got criminal investigation or it leads to criminal charges, you want to have as an independent eye looking at it as you
very
can
very independent.
to be able to go. And I know the GBI is the same way. You've had both of you have had to call in over the years for different things. It may not be a lethal shot, or it may be something, where somebody's involved in an accident or whatever, and you have that independent agency that comes in and investigates everything.
I've had to call them in for incidents at the jail where a correction officer, I had one, they brought a guy in, didn't know it was his mother's ex-boyfriend or something, and he just walked over and hit him first thing, and then I had to fire him, but I turned over investigation, TBI, and I think he indicted him for assault, but he pled out. But that was incidents. I didn't want my detective looking into it. I wanted TBI looked at it, and they did. So I've had to call them in 2 or 3 times to do investigations at the jail over use of force.
And you over the years have
Over the past year, we've had 2 officer-involved shootings, and GBIs came in on both of those occasions, and we put the officers on administrative leave with pay until it's they conclude their investigation. In both instances, our officers were cleared of the shootings.
Now, I think, a lot of people don't realize, and I agree with you, Sheriff, you're going to probably see some increased and maybe very warranted education, more in-depth education on how, I think you'd mentioned, Sheriff Cross, while we were on a break, that under Governor Deal, 2 different aspects had been of law enforcement had been enhanced, and that was the de-escalation of a something that's going on, like a domestic dispute or whatever. Hey, you de-escalate the problem instead of letting it escalate. And then what was the other one?
Community policing.
So both of those was implemented under Governor Deal here in the
that's
state.
Extra training that we do on top of all the other training we do throughout the year. So those are mandatory classes we have to have every year since Mayor Deal was in office.
So
Governor Deal, I'm
and
sorry.
a lot of people don't realize, that y'all go through extensive training every year. You don't get out of a 6-week academy and they give you your badge and gun and say, we'll see you later. I mean, every year you have to do so much certification to keep your certification,
Yes.
you know, and maybe that increases.
Well, we have ongoing training, a certain set of hours that we have to get every year, but a lot of the officers go above and beyond that and get even more. I know Missy's fixing to exceed that by going into investigation. She's going to have a lot more training than there is required throughout the year. So, you know, our officers, and we've now, I'm putting another officer over training. So we're going to have in-house training now where we don't have to go off to train, and we can have a lot more training in-house. So that's going to help out a lot.
Well, that always helps, and you've actually got a training center now.
Right, but a lot of the training that's offered, the state's not doing as much as private companies come in and do training on these, and they require, most classes are like $300 or $400 for each officer, and you have to pay that. Plus, the officer's going to be off duty, so you got to find somebody to fill in. But you know, when I first started, the state come in and did a lot of the training, and but they backed off on that, and then private enterprise is taking it over. A lot of these large companies offer classes on use of force or tasers or things like that, and you had to pay for those classes. Used to they were free, but not as many free now as there used to be. All this year,
not very few.
The yearly classes. How many hours? And it may vary from state to state. How many hours do you have to have? Do your officers have to have?
You have to have 40 every year, and they have to have 8 hours on firing range class, use of force class, and then firing range in 32 hours. I think mandatory is EVOC, and then child abuse. Those three things are mandatory. Then and again, we put on in service over the years by asking people to donate their time to come in and teach a class. But here the last couple of years, it's getting harder to find people just to come in and do it for free. Now we're having to hire people to come in and do it. So
yeah, if you have to go off to train, also you got to look at the expense of the travel. You know, the vehicle, the gasoline, the wear and tear of the car, the motel, food, and it gets pretty expensive when you send a couple officers.
Yeah, if you
to train.
You send an officer for a week's training and the class is $500, and you're going to spend another $500 on the motels and eats. So I mean, you're going to have $1,000 in that.
And that comes out of your line item budgets
Yeah,
too.
it does.
So that's kind of tough.
So I'm hoping if they pass all these regulations, maybe they'll send us some little extra money to help do this training. Nobody ever talks about the money.
You hit on something.
We have to worry about money, don't we, Sheriff? I mean, it's
well, both of y'all are in the positions in your counties that you have to present that budget to the commissions and be able to get.
I actually did mine last Monday, so I went again yesterday. So I'm hoping we're going to pass the budget. And well, normally our fiscal year starts July 1st, but we're not going to get the budget passed till July meeting. But
well, I was in a meeting last week with the sheriff, our first public hearing, and they've got another public hearing this coming Thursday this week, and they're going to pass our budget and be ready for July the 1st. They have to start here in Dade County for a new fiscal year. So evidently they're on track to do that.
Yes.
And very little questioning. There was only a couple of folks in the public that even came and questioned the budget this year.
One of the questions I got after the meeting was over is, Sheriff, are your officers paid enough? And I said, I don't know of any sheriff's office or police department that their officers are paid enough for what they do. And the answer is no. They're not paid enough, and we want to explore every avenue we can to get those pay increases up. And we're going to look into that as soon as we can. I don't know if we can do it this budget, but the major and I talked about it yesterday, so we're going to do everything we can to get some more money for these officers.
And we have an officer here on the program with us, but in a lot of respects, that y'all go out every day and put your life on the line, and there's dozens of jobs that pay a lot more. I mean, dozens and hundreds of jobs. I mean, they're available to you.
That's one thing I'm afraid is going to happen. I mean, we were having trouble getting good officers now, that can handle the public and control their emotions. And I mean, you got to look at all that nowadays. But I'm afraid with all everything's going on now that it's going to make it even harder. I mean, I've got 2 openings right now, and just ain't nobody knocking the door down to come to work there. I'm actually advertising in the Chattanooga paper because I just used to. I had applications that high. Now they're about that high, and you got to look at officers more now than you did. When you got an officer that's been 3 or 4 departments in the last 2 years, that's a red flag.
Sure is.
Now, and I was telling the chief deputy, we were talking earlier, if we hire somebody, we're going to have to do a real thorough background.
You have to.
I mean, you need to go out, and if they worked in another community, you need to go out. I mean, if everybody says, "Oh, this guy, he's into it with everybody." Well, there's something I don't want. I don't want somebody I have to every day I come in, I got to complain on him about using foul language or something. Just gonna have to do a better job of, of course, the thing we've had in the past, the officers were there in Marion County. I knew them for 30 years, knew how they worked and everything, but those, I don't have those officers now, so I'm having to branch out and go to cover more area to look for officers, and then you're going to do a better background check on them.
You don't have a lot of, you still have a lot of homegrown officers, but in the recent years, you've had to look outside the county.
We have. I mean, like the sheriff said, you're getting very few applications, and those you do get, some of them you can't use or don't want. And so we have to be very
I've learned from hard experience, it's better to work with less officers than hire a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Because all you're going to do is just.
When I hire somebody, I look at what I want this person. If I'm not in law enforcement, I'm at home and citizen. What I want them protecting me out here. So you got to look at it as if it's going to be protecting you and your family.
Well, the times have changed. Officers are going to have to take more. When I first started, if somebody used profanity towards you, you just took care of it. Them days over with, you're going to have thicker skin. It's just the way it is, and I can't change it, and can't nobody change it. It's just the way things are going, and you're going to have to not. Don't let your anger do something to make you regret someday. You got to be able to control your emotions, and that's one thing you're going to look at nowadays.
That's a big thing. Yes.
Big thing, yeah.
And Evan, you said something a minute ago about officers putting their lives on the line, and I think we forget. Not only do they put their life on the line, they save lives. And here's an example set right next to me. Misty, when she was on the road, she went by a house, and this guy was on drugs, on opioids, and she administered Narcan not once, but then came back by, I think, and did CPR. He overdosed. She saved his life not once but twice.
Well, last Thursday we had 5. They saved 4. One lady, Montego, passed away from overdose, but we had 4 in Montego and 1 in South Pittsburgh, and all 5 of them Narcan. And they brought 4 of them back. That's what gets me mad when people get here and criticize us. Nobody ever says about that. Man, we saved 4 lives. Nobody ever says, "Well, we appreciate it." All we get is bad publicity. We had, yesterday we had a suicide, and we have to deal with the family. You got to be able to talk to the family. When you have a suicide, you got to be able to handle it. They want to defund the police department. Who's going to go to these calls if you don't have a police officer? We have suicides a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of nowadays. It's not like it used to. A lot of people died from whatever in the hospital. That's not happening now. More people die at home, and
right.
The officers are usually the ones that have to respond to that and help the coroner or help the. We bring in a lot of funeral homes straight to the house now. But the officers have to help them remove the person, and I'm sitting there going, who's going to do this if you defund the police department?
Well, Sheriff, these people that are doing these, I know it's First Amendment right to protest. I have nothing wrong with peaceable protests. They're fine.
Right.
But you get these other guys coming in here that are Antifa or out here committing crimes, and they want to defund the police and everything over this. It's not those people are going to suffer. They don't have, most of them don't have jobs, or a lot of them are college kids and stuff. It's the good people that go to work every day that pay taxes and everything else. That's who it's going to affect.
How many?
And they don't want to lose law enforcement.
Usually at night, how many people do you say in your career, and that called at the middle of the night, older people that slipped and fell and couldn't get back up. Who do they call?
They call us.
Call
Hundreds,
us. I mean,
hundreds
I
of thousands
probably,
of calls.
over my career, probably went and helped 1,000 people. Maybe not 1,000, maybe 300 or 400.
Oh, I bet. I mean, you've been, not to say they go long. You've been in law enforcement a long time.
Yeah, but they didn't call their son or their daughter. They called the police. And I mean, you just, over the years, there's no telling how many officers that went to people's house. I've lit water heaters. I've got snakes out of houses. I mean, just sit here
All
and
kind of calls.
Oh, okay. It doesn't just.
There's a snake in my house. I'm calling him.
Yeah. Well,
He can call whoever he wants.
I mean, but
I'm not getting it out.
but what I was trying to make is we do these things and nobody ever knows them. Nobody ever talks about them. But that's things that we do every day. You have to help comfort people if it got a death in the family.
And one of the bad, the wrecks we had, we just had a fatality over here on the side. Look at who would went that wreck? The police aren't here.
Right.
Well, I would have never thought that we would have heard the type of things that we're hearing, do away with the police, do away with the funding and things of that nature. I mean, we're living in a very, very strange time. I mean,
in a sense, I agree. Do away with the police, do away with the bad police.
Absolutely.
Keep the good ones. And that's where you have the supervisors that can look and see how they're handling these calls out here. You can tell if you got a bad officer. And every good officer knows the bad officers, okay? Yes. And we try to weed them out ourselves.
And things that, I think one of the things that I've heard, I mean, if you see someone that's breaking the law, whether they're an officer or not, you should intervene. I mean,
yes.
you're a sworn officer to uphold the law, no matter who's breaking it.
Right.
And I don't know what was going through those other 3 or 4 officers' minds, but they should have intervened. I don't care if he was a supervisor or not.
That's true.
That's true. They're the ones that are in authority, and they should have intervened.
That's true.
Regardless of, even if it was the sheriff or the police chief doing that, they should have intervened. And maybe they felt like they couldn't. From what I understand, they were new cadets, I guess.
Well, I think one of them had been on the road 6 months. That's the one that was standing there. I've said it over and over. I said I wish one of them had went over and just
stop it.
I think if he just slapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you need to take your knee off his neck," I'm hoping he would have done it. He might have. I think he was 18 years seniority, and the other 3 were all rookies.
Yeah, rookies, yeah.
Just a bad situation.
We're going to take another break. We'll continue our conversation here on Sheriff Talk. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.
Gigabit Internet residential service is now available to customers of the North Alabama Electric Co-op with NAEC Fiber in Jackson and Marshall County. Residential gig service is now available for only $79.95. Call today to have your gig service installed at 256-437-5000. High-speed fiber residential gig Internet service now available to customers of the North Alabama Electric Co-op with NAEC Fiber. Business and commercial customers can get gig service too. Call for pricing 256-437-5000. Gig service from North Alabama Electric Co-op. 256-437-5000.
A small bank with big service. Citizens Bank and Trust, offering a wide range of services, including online banking. Pay your bills, manage your account anytime, 24 hours a day. Your account balance is only a phone call away as well at 657-1234. Or visit our convenient locations. Lookout Mountain, Georgia, Higdon, Alabama, on our main branch on Highway 11 in Trenton. Citizens Bank and Trust, 657-5678. A community bank that believes in the community. Citizens Bank and Trust. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you need a licensed plumber, call Stacy Ledwell and the staff at Mr. Rooter in Scottsboro. Mr. Rooter provides your home or business with advanced solutions using high-tech equipment. Our commitment to customer satisfaction shines through in our personalized service. When you schedule an appointment, our professionals will dedicate time to explain the work that has to be done. Our staff will give you upfront pricing, so you'll know exactly what's involved before any work begins. We even pump septic tanks and do new construction on houses. Fully licensed, bonded, and insured, Mr. Rooter in Scottsboro. Call Stacy Ledwell today to set up an appointment at 256-574-4710. Rising Fawn Hardware is your place for all your gardening needs. Seeds, onion sets, cabbage, strawberry plants, and more. A complete line of home hardware items, too. Everything for the house, including plumbing, hardware, and metal roofs. Plus, Rising Fawn Hardware has everything you need for your livestock, including name brands like Nutria, Tucker, and Faithway. Always with a hometown atmosphere, it's Rising Fawn Hardware. 4300 Highway 11 South in Rising Fawn. Open 8 in the morning till 6 at night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and 8 to noon on Wednesday. Even open on Saturday from 8 until 4. Rising Fawn Hardware.
Landers McLarty Ford Fort Payne is your one stop to visit in Fort Payne, Alabama if you're looking for deals. Right now, enjoy 0% APR for 84 months plus defer 3 payments on the 2019 Ford F-150 XLT. Or choose the 2020 model F-150 with 0% for 72 months plus defer 3 payments. Or the 2020 Ford Ranger with Chevrolet stock, 0% APR for 72 months plus defer 3 payments.
See dealer for details and additional fees.
Landers McLarty Ford, 1916 Glen Boulevard, Southwest Fort Payne, Alabama.
Back to Sheriff Talk here on KWN. You're talking about the peaceful protest, and we have a right to free speech, and I'm just going to put a couple of scenarios out here and let y'all respond. We have a right to peaceful protest. We have a right to freedom of speech. But I do not think that we have a right to break the law, and these folks, I do know if I go out here in the middle of Highway 11 and stop, and I stop traffic, I am breaking the law.
Well, not only that, look at the lives you're impacting. I mean, you got people trying to get home to get to their kids and stuff that are sitting in traffic. That's not fair to them. You know, in Atlanta the other night, they closed down 75. Can you imagine closing down 75? And I'm sitting there going, look at all the people that are having to suffer, because, I mean, like you, if you're on protest, get on the side of the road and protest.
Get on the side of the road, go to the city park, go to the county park, go to...
I'm in favor of protesting, but, don't hinder everybody else. I mean, we can set, if you have set up a place to protest, like you said,
I don't see anywhere where my freedom of speech allows me to break a law.
No.
Standing on the side of the road, on a public sidewalk, I can say whatever I want to whoever I want.
Right.
I can have a sign, I can march, I can do whatever.
Right.
But and I think that they lost control of that, and they should have said, okay, if you're going to demonstrate, you need to do it in these locations, these parks, on the courthouse grounds, front of City Hall steps, all of these public places, not in the middle of the road. I still don't understand that. I mean,
either.
because that's a charge. I mean, I cannot. Sheriff, you and I are friends, but you're not going to let me go out here and stop traffic on Highway 11 for a long time.
You'll be visiting me in jail.
I
if
mean,
you do.
you see what I'm saying? I don't understand how they're getting away with that. I really don't. Other than
Well,
they're allowing people to break the law.
It comes back to leadership, and that's these chiefs and these mayors that don't have the guts to get out here and let their officers be officers and let them do their jobs. They should not interfere. These officers are sworn to uphold the law, and that's what they're supposed to do, and the administration should not be interfering with it.
And your law enforcement officer has to protect those protesters just as much as
That's right.
anybody else that's not protesting.
We do.
So their safety is also a concern.
But is it right for protesters to walk up to them and spit in their face and all? I mean, I've
Absolutely
seen that.
not.
You've seen that on
Absolutely
TV.
not. That's not a freedom of
No.
speech.
No,
You
that's
know,
an assault.
You're exactly right. That's what that is. And these folks that are supposedly putting out bricks and places where you can get weapons, and they should be
Well, they're saying
arrested and put in jail.
I watched
It's inciting a riot. is
I
what
watch
it
the
is.
news cable channels every night to try to learn everything I can about it. And last night they were saying, well, all this will end when one big incident happens, when some innocent person on TV gets killed or something. Then the public will turn their opinion towards back to law and order. Then things will change. But it's going to take some big event, they're saying.
And that's terrible.
That's terrible. But that's what they were predicting, to get things to go back like out in Seattle. Somebody's going to do something and somebody's going to film it, and it's going to be on TV, and then the public opinion is going to say, well, we need law and order again. then they'll go in there and take care of it. But till something happens like that, they're saying this is because what they were trying to do is predict when this incident in Seattle is going to end, and they said when this happens.
And I think what should have happened with these protests, they should have done them in these areas, and then you go to the next city council meeting, and I think in Chattanooga the other day they had 140 people signed up to talk, and it was a 7-hour. Hey, that's good. Maybe a 10, 12-hour city council meeting. Let them get in there and hear from the people. But that's how you protest.
Absolutely.
You
Go
get
there
out
and
in
voice
front
your
of the people that
opinion,
can
your
make the
concern.
decisions, and you tell them what you want to do. You don't go out every night at 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night and shut down the streets.
I wonder how many of those people that are protesting actually go vote and stuff. That's where you change things is voting. If a public official's not doing what you think, then get together and go vote him out or her out.
And we welcome people to come talk to us, come talk to the sheriff, talk to the investigators, and voice to us your questions, your concerns, and let's see if we can't make a positive change. Because we may not see something that you see, and if we can change it, we'll do whatever we can to make it better.
Well, and it all goes back to maybe there's some things in the hiring process that y'all can learn from. We don't know what's in this executive order that the president's going to sign today. Y'all will get to see it and vet it out and see how y'all can implement it, I'm sure, over the next few days. But maybe you do more screening up front. I mean, y'all both said y'all have already started doing that because you can't just hire somebody that's been at 6 different departments over 8 years. There's got to be reasons they keep changing.
Well, I'm sure, Sheriff, like I am, I've seen officers come get on the force, and you know quickly that they're not made out for this work.
Right. We've been doing extensive background checks since I've been sheriff. We don't just hire anybody that applies. We do. Our investigators investigate, and they do background checks and go talk to their neighbors and their pastors and
The previous
whoever.
employers, we
previous
check
employers.
everything.
Well, I'll say this: when someone's hired, most of the time they start out inside the jail, which is a somewhat controlled
And a lot
environment.
of them weed themselves out there.
Right,
if
because
can't
they
go
get
jail.
to interact with the element of people that they're going to interact
Right.
with out on the road.
Right.
And you're right. I think some of them, after a couple of weeks, say this is not for me, or a month, or But you also get to see how they're going to interact.
Right.
Before you ever put them
Usually
out.
they do a good job in the jail. They do a pretty good job on the streets, so that's a good. But like I said, we're at the point now. I've got openings, and then I just don't have the money to send that many people to the academy because when I went through in 1981, it was 6 weeks. Now it's 12 weeks. I think I don't know what they do for the next, because it seems like my 6 weeks lasted forever. I can imagine what 12 weeks.
And it's probably going to go to 16.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's a well, it's a new day, and and I know y'all well enough. If you can glean from something that'll make your departments better, obviously you want to
Well,
do that.
I tell you what scares me. I'm afraid we're going to see a big increase in crime nationwide here next, because that officers won't tell you this, but a lot of officers, especially in these big cities, are going to pull back.
Well,
Instead of going into a situation that they know might end up with some kind of big fight or something, they're probably just going to drive on by and just act like they didn't see it. I mean, and when you start doing that, you're going to start seeing your crime go. And when it goes up in big cities, it's going to flop over into the smaller places. I'm really afraid we're going to see a big spike in increase in crimes next year.
And because of all this happening, especially the thing in Minneapolis with Mr. Floyd, we talk about the extensive training. Look at the guy that did this. Sheriff, you just said he'd been on the force 17, 18 years.
I think that's what I heard. I know he had 18 write-ups.
So that officer has been through hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of training throughout his career, because you have to have so many hours to be certified and to stay certified. So look at all the training he's had over the years. I don't think it's a training issue. I think it comes down to personal. It was a bad apple. is all it is. I mean, he made that choice to keep his knee on his neck. That didn't really have a lot to do with training. It had to do with the way he felt about Mr. Floyd, I guess. But I don't see it going to training because he's had the training. They
were probably on the civil service there, and and it's hard to terminate somebody when they're on the civil service.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can terminate them, then they have a right to appeal to the Civil Service Board, and I think Hamilton County and them have lost. I think the sheriff got into that, and maybe it wasn't Sheriff Hammond, might have been sheriff before him, but anyhow, it was over promotion that promoted some, didn't promote everybody or whatever, and they end up the officers filed a civil service complaint, and I think the sheriff lost and ended up having to.
Then they sometimes have an appeal and everything else.
Yeah.
So
then I think you can actually, if you Civil Service Board rules against you, I think you got a right to pass it on to Chancery Court or some. I believe I'm right on that, or I know there's another step up, but wrongful termination, you got to be careful on that. You can, Tennessee is a right to work state, but that doesn't mean somebody, if you feel like they've been terminated and then unlawfully terminated, they can get an attorney and file suit against you. Don't have often, but it can happen. And if you ever get to the point you get in court, you got to be able to show on paper trail. That's what I say, paper trail, why you terminated this person. But if you just say, well, I just didn't like the way you did it, then it shows you proof. And then you're going to end up getting a big jury trial, and then you're going to get a verdict against you, and the county's going to pay a bunch of money. So you have to do a lot of paperwork, don't you, Sheriff?
Sure do.
We're going to take a break. We'll have more Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV.
Georgia Northwestern Technical College is now accepting applications for classes. We offer programs in business, health, industrial, and public service at 6 campus locations with financial aid options as well. Take day, evening, or online classes to get your degree, diploma, or certificate. Apply now. Drop by one of our campuses today or check us out at gntc.edu. Georgia Northwestern Technical College.
At Comfort Gallery in Kimball, comfort is the key. And the key to making it easier to sleep, sit, and stand is a new PowerLift chair from Catnapper. Catnapper's PowerLift chairs feature comfort coil seating for long-lasting comfort and a powerful yet smooth, quiet motor. Some models even include heat and massage. It's really comfort at the touch of a button. See the full selection today when you visit Comfort Gallery. Free delivery and setup, 1 year free layaway, and 6 and 12 months same as cash. Available at Comfort Gallery, 780 Main Street, 1 mile north of I-24, exit 152A, Kimball, Tennessee.
When you or a loved one is facing a life-limiting illness, hospice care may be the answer. At Tapestry Hospice, the patient is the focus of our care. We are here to serve you and facilitate your wishes. Tapestry caregivers are concerned with managing your pain, keeping you in touch with your physician, and helping you make plans for the future. Hospice is life-affirming, and Tapestry Hospice can help you deal with all aspects of life, mind, body, and soul. Call Tapestry Hospice for more information. 706-383-8812. That's 706-383-8812. Tapestry Hospice. Redefining hope. Can you gig it? Oh, yes, you can. We know you've been waiting for a long time, and now Tennessee Valley Net is bringing it to you. Gigabit internet service now available in certain areas of Dade County. Not just fast, super fast internet service now available from Tennessee Valley Net. People are talking, I mean really smiling about gig speed internet available in limited areas from Tennessee Valley Net. Call today at 706-657-4367 or log on at tvn.net and see if gig speed is available where you are. We know you'll gig it from Tennessee Valley Net.
Here's a great way to save money on your credit card bills. If you have 3 or more credit cards and you're way behind on the payments, we can show you a way to pay as little as 50% and have 0 debt in 24 months. Call now and learn how to reduce your credit card bills by 50% and be 100% debt-free. We always offer 24/7 help and a free consultation. Call right now.
Back now to Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. We don't know what tomorrow is going to hold over the next couple of weeks. We do know the executive order with the president is going to be signed this week on what he would like
Well,
to
I'm
see.
not real understanding. He's issuing the executive order, and then Congress is going to vote on the legislation. I mean,
Well, I mean,
how does that work? Does that commingle?
I think at first, I mean, his executive order for what level of the authority that is would go into effect immediately.
Yes.
And then, of course, the Congress, then they'll pass something over to the Senate, and they'll debate it back and forth. And who knows how long that'll take before it ever goes to him to sign.
I think there's going to be some. Watching the news, there's going to be some problems in the Senate on some of the things that they're wanting to pass. That they're, I forget what one of them was. Some kind of protection for the officer, but I've never heard of that. Have you? About officers being sued for have some kind of level of protection? I forget what they called it.
Yes.
You want to know about sheriff?
Yeah, I do, and I can't think of the word.
I can't either. But anyhow, I said, well, I never heard of that. I mean, I get sued a lot, and I've never. There was some kind of law about protection.
Something like immunity.
Some kind of
immunity.
Lawful immunity or something.
Yeah.
You've seen it on TV, hadn't you? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We just can't call it, but they were wanting to. In the Senate, they were wanting to keep that in, I believe, and some of the other Democrats were wanting to take it out or something. And they said that's going to be a sticking point. But I was just confused. I'm sitting there going, well, the president's going to issue these guidelines under executive order, then the Congress is going to pass guidelines. And which set of guidelines do we go if they're different?
I think the executive order would be immediate, and then the others, they're still going to have to go through the process.
But how does that filter down to us? We may not know about it for.
It'll be a while, I'm sure.
People don't understand. People don't understand it when they pass these laws and stuff. You know, I mean, I don't have time to sit there and go. I've tried to look at bills on the legislature, and it you can spend half a day trying to research one law because sent to this committee, then put on hold, and sent that committee, then till we get something signed by the governor signs it.
Yeah.
But we may not get that till 3 months after the governor signed it. Y'all running the same problem?
Yeah,
or is
go
it
back
just
and forth
Tennessee?
on the floor, from the House to Senate, and then it might get vetoed by the governor.
There's nobody from the Department of Justice or anything calling us saying, hey, we're going to send you updates. We never hear from the Department of Justice or anybody in the state. Are you the same?
Every once in a while we get some updates, used to.
I get mine through the Sheriff's Association, but if it wasn't for that, this attorney, I've seen where this attorney didn't know, new law. Usually new laws go into effect July the 1st, which is coming up. And sometimes we're just left in the dark. We're you think the law enforcement would be the first to get their hands on this, but and I'll give you a good example. 6-7 years ago, TBI used to, if you was on sex arrest, you had to report TBI. Well, they changed that in Nashville and dumped it off on the local. But they never called us, and people were showing up, Sheriff's Department wanting to report, and I said, we don't do that, the TBI does that. And they said, well, TBI said, come here. So after about the 10th and come in there, I went in there and called the TBI, and I said, have y'all changed the regulation? Oh, yeah. Said, we're fixing to send you a letter out. And I said, well, wouldn't it have been nice? Send me a letter first before you. But that's how it works. Basically, they don't care. They just dumped it off on us, and that way it's left them not to worry about it. Now we're up to 90. I ended up having to spend, an officer spends 50% of his time doing sex arrest, which it's very important.
It's one of those unfunded mandates.
It is. It is. Well, there's $150 that we could collect, but that's hard to collect that money, and it's just. But that's one of the examples. They changed the regulations and they told all the people, but they didn't tell the local law enforcement till they just kept coming to the window, wanting to arrest her, and I kept saying, you do that TBI, and then I went and called them. And they said, oh yeah, we're fixing to send a letter out this week, and I said, wouldn't it have been nice to send it out 3 weeks ago or something? But that's what we run into a lot.
Speaking of people coming, Evan, I think we're going to open our buildings back up the 23rd. That'd be next Tuesday. The courts in our office building is going to be open back up. So
We're already back open full time. We used to had 114 cases on the docket, and they're allowing 8 at a time in court. I had to have extra officers there. They have to sign a list, and then they go back out to the car and they take a temperature. If you're going in court requires you to wear a mask. I went through 200 last week.
200 masks.
The cheaper masks, I call them, not the N95s, but
the surgical blue mask.
yeah. But we're started back. It's we're doing a lot of Zoom. Courts are doing Zoom, but we started back.
Well, that is good. Well, we only got a couple more minutes, and I know we always try to leave on a lighter note, but we still don't have any baseball.
No, but the schools are going to start back regular. I think second week in August.
Ours is August 7th.
What about your high school football? As far as I know,
They've started back training. I think I heard this morning.
Yeah.
And we've got.
We don't know what's going to happen in college, do we?
Well, they've started. I know our governor in Georgia has released as of tomorrow, the 16th, if you're watching live, is going to allow them to start.
But we're seeing an increase in the cases.
Tennessee has, Georgia has it.
Florida has.
Yeah, and but as of right now, I don't know anything about stands. Yeah, I think NASCAR started allowing a few.
They allowed 1,000 in last week. Where's that? Was it Atlanta?
Somewhere in Florida.
Homestead.
6,400.
Homestead.
Yeah.
Actually, the 1,000 people were first responders.
Well, they're not going to have to worry about it in Talladega and Bristol and.
We know. Speaking of Talladega, I've heard that Daytona and Talladega are pulling out NASCAR.
They've cut ties with them. Yeah, because of the.
Have you heard that?
No.
On account of
the flag issue.
The Confederate flag.
Confederate flag.
They're in Talladega.
Wow.
If I speak wrong, correct me, but Talladega and Daytona are saying that they want.
And Bristol.
They're wanting the drivers to let people bring the flag in, and since NASCAR said they couldn't, they're pulling out of NASCAR. Is that right?
They have already cut ties.
So I hadn't heard that.
They said there'll be no more NASCAR at those tracks, and there's more than those 3, I think.
Well, they said they're going to create their own.
They're going to try to get their own organization together or something. Now, they said what are they going to do with the stadiums? From what I understood, they're going to maybe do tractor pulls and stuff like that. Different events they're going to have there on the.
While they
tracks.
try to fund the
stadiums. Going to rent it out to Formula One racing and stuff like that.
I've been to Talladega several times. That's 150,000 people. Well, Daytona was 150,000.
So it's a big issue in NASCAR right now.
But see,
I hadn't heard that.
That's what I'm saying. They hadn't got much publicity. I heard one of the officers talking about it yesterday. I hadn't read it or seen it anywhere.
I haven't.
Now, the mainstream media has been pushing the other side.
But the good sheriff in Dade County backed me up on it, so we know it's true.
There you go. Well, if y'all said it, it's true.
That's what I said. Be sure and correct me if I'm wrong, because I heard that yesterday, and I said, I can't believe that. And it's all on account that they want them to be able to bring the Confederate flag into the stadium, right?
And I think
and they're going to require it to, if you race at their stadium, to have the flag on their cars. Am I
correct?
That's correct.
Wow, didn't realize that. No. Sheriffs, we thank you very much.
We give you good information.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Congratulations on your new appointment there, and that you can come back after you get trained and tell us what all you had to go through.
Absolutely.
So that would be good. And for those of you at home, we thank you very much for watching every week, and we will see you next week here on Sheriff Talk. You've been watching Sheriff Talk, live from the studios of KWN TV7, all around the tri-state area, as we give you information that you can use concerning law enforcement. Join us again next week for another episode of Sheriff Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV7.